Christina Anderson. I currently teach at Fruitvale Elementary School. I've been here for about 3 years. Prior to that, I was teaching at Frick Middle School. So I've been with the district for about 10 years now. My classroom right now is 4th to 5th grade, special day class. Most of my students either have a diagnosis of autism or speech and language disability.
And remember, who can remind me of why we actually take notes and highlight?
So we can notice where we are.
Exactly.
The easiest way for me to describe Newsela would be it's a tool that helps the teacher assign reading. So it helps the students interact with reading at their level. Because you can change the Lexile level, it makes it easier for the student to read. It also reads out loud for you, which is a huge accommodation, not only for my special education students, but for our general education students who are not reading at level. It's really useful for them because they can still access the curriculum, can still access the skills you're trying to teach them. Because a lot of my students are at least 3 years behind in terms of their reading level. I love the fact that you can differentiate it. So I can choose a lesson and I can make it, higher Lexile or lower Lexile, depending on who the student is. And that was one of my favorite features. It's really great for like small group instruction that I've noticed in our special day class, because it allows the teacher to interact with the student, and then they can go back and do the work independently after you read it aloud and work on it and annotate and teach all of those skills you want them to teach. It's also a really great whole class. I use it whole class as well if we're focused on certain theme or a certain document. Having a computer be able to read it aloud and project it, and really important for my kids, for them to highlight as I highlight, write as I write, copying those things.
Highlight that, and then once you highlight it, give it that yellow color and type in the word.
It's super critical so that they can keep up and they can see what I'm doing and then be able to mimic that themselves, because those skills aren't going to change whether you're a 5th grade. And that's what I tell them. You learn this in 5th grade, it makes 6th grade so much easier.
And how would that help them think about somebody else?
They see they hungry and they thirsty.
Very good. So when you understand how it feels to be hungry.
Newsela was really good for using multiple voices and perspectives. I feel like a lot of curriculum, it's like Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, you got it, we checked that box off, we're good. But I felt like we were able to really dive into some deep concepts, like having students understand that Black history doesn't start with like Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King, but like the kings and queens of Africa. Like, there was actually so much within slavery and so many different levels and so many ways people resisted. And we focused on that. And to actually find content that talked about that at a level the kids understand, I was like, come on, this is what I'm talking about.
You want to learn about other cultures. And this month, in the month of Ramadan.
So one of the things I enjoy is like just kind of perusing the latest news. Like right now, one of the things I notice about my special day classes, they don't really have a lot of current events kind of awareness. It's kind of like what my parents said, and that's what's right. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to choose whether you agree with them or not, because you can. So having them find out documents, like we had a whole conversation during one of our morning meetings about where do I get information from? And then how do I take that information and say, yes, it's true, no, it's not. What would be a trusted source? So some of the things I've created on a school-wide level, people still have access to, like the Reconstruction, like all of these things we had created for Black History Month, and then the actual assignments of like 4th grade social studies. We were creating this to go with our history writing task. Did the mission system help or hurt the Native peoples of California? And so really getting into that and diving into Newsela, looking at the articles that will be like, these articles are for, and these articles are against, and even how can we bring in other sources to back up what they do. We have found some really good articles for kind of like the overview of what the mission system was, and then diving into those actual articles that are like pro or con, and having the children kind of decide.
All right, so we're gonna scroll right underneath that. Good job, good job. Go down a little bit more. Perfect. You want to start, so we're gonna focus on this part right here.
You can't have students work all year on paper and then like, okay, we're gonna take the S back. That's not on paper. So then like you get these kids and these students who've never interacted with a computer in school at an academic level, right? then they're looking at it like, what? But if you have, even if it's once a week and you choose a current event, a document from Newsela, and you're teaching students how to annotate and type in and answer questions, it's going to help them on the SBAC because they're going to know how to annotate and take notes and then go back, or, you know, things like that. A lot of times there have been curriculums or things like that that I was like, this is dumb. It's not going to work with the kids. And then it turned out to be like really great. So one of the things I've learned in my little humble 10 years of teaching is that you have to give things a try. Sometimes the kid, it works and sometimes it doesn't. And if you're worried about like tech working or not working, like having your class see you work through frustrations, I think it's critical teaching exercise. And I hope that by seeing me work through struggles, that things are supposed to work, they learn that not everything works according to plan and you have to be able to move and pivot with it. There are going to be times where the tech works and going to be times it doesn't. There are going to be times where you have this whole beautiful Newsela assignment planned and then they have a fire drill. Like it's just, there are certain things that you can't plan for, but that's as long as kids see that attempt and you come back to it and you you attack it, I think it's going to work out.
Again, when you read something the first time, you kind of catch a little bit. When you read it again, you catch a little bit more. When you talk about it and you write about it, it kind of sticks with you a little longer. And that's what we want our reading to do. You want it to be like a good meal. You ever get a good meal, you be like, oh. And you be full for like hours later. Right, you want that to be like what happens when you read. You want to have that stick on your ribs.